choir. I said it last week and I'll say it again. I want you to come to my house and circle it every morning. Maybe we could auction that off as an auction item at our next auction. What do you think? Well, this morning we continue our theme of service is our prayer. And we have a juicy message this week. It's on politics a little bit and on principles a whole lot. I have to say it's one of those messages, one of those writing weeks for me where on one hand I felt very overwhelmed by the topic as I stacked books and books beside myself of all the messages about prophetic voices and living our values. But then on the other hand, when it came to it, it felt like it was one simple message. So I guess that might be the case for many weeks that I go through that. But I really did enjoy wrestling with this topic, and I hope that you enjoy the opportunity to wrestle with it as well this morning. Now, during our service today, we have a special series that we're starting that we're going to continue for the next couple months. And what we're doing is we're going to highlight different ones of our committees. So later on in the service, we'll have one of our committees come and speak about who they are and what they do. And that committee each week that does this will then sponsor our fellowship time. So they've brought us our snacks for fellowship. And you'll have an opportunity to sign up or learn more about that committee during fellowship time. So that's going to begin this week as we ask the question, how too can we serve? So I'm going to start with a piece this morning. It was from Pastor Martin Niemöller. Am I probably pronouncing that wrong? Somebody can tell me later if I pronounced that wrong. It really struck me as so prophetic when I read it. He says this, he says, "First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out. Because I was not a communist. And then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. And then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, but I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And they came for me, but there was no one left to speak for me." It's not a very uplifting way to start a service, but I think it ties into our message nicely today. Our message of what will it be that we are willing to speak for and use our voices for. So I'm going to invite us to start today with using our own voices. The choir gave us a nice example of how to do that. So please rise in body or spirit as you are able and willing. Our opening hymn, I think will be up there, right, Maggie? If you'd like to open a hymnal, it's in the gray hymnal, number 360. It is called "Here We Have Gathered," and I invite you to sing it loud. As Leslie gets ready to welcome us, I forgot to say welcome, didn't I? No wonder you were all looking at me, being like, what is going on here? Welcome, everybody. Good morning. I'm so excited about this topic. Should I just do the sermon right now? Just get it over with, then we can do all this other stuff.
We're going to make you wait a little bit.
We're going to make me wait a little bit. Anyway, welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Welcome to those of you online, joining us online, and a special welcome to anyone joining us for the very first time. It is a joy and an honor to have you here with us this morning. I am Reverend Deborah Bennett, and this is Leslie McLean.
Good morning. My name is Leslie McLean, and I am a member of the worship team, the Emerson Choir, and the leadership development team. I extend my welcome to each of you today, and I'm so glad that you're here. Each Sunday, we pause to light our chalice as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism and our commitment to be a beacon of love in the world. This morning, Reverend Deborah will light the chalice as I read these words from Deborah Falk. It's entitled, "The Chalice is a Symbol." A chalice lit in our midst is a symbol of our liberal faith, a faith built on the foundation of freedom, reason, and tolerance, a faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice, a faith that visions a world flourishing with equality for all her people, a faith that demands the living out of goodness, a faith that requires thoughtfulness, a faith of wholeness. This tiny flame is the symbol of the spark of all this within each of us. Now, in the spirit of the beloved community, let's greet and welcome each other to this new day as we share our congregational affirmation, "We need not think alike to love alike." Those in the sanctuary, feel free to move around to offer a greeting to others. For those online, please use the chat to introduce yourself or unmute to say hello.
Good morning. Okay. Really, we hadn't talked about sorry. But you're good to go. Help them with the mother, but
You've got to be kidding me, Dave. You got to be kidding me. Oh, come on.
I'm serious. You have too much stuff. It's so crowded in the living room, I can't even get through there.
You're serious, right? Okay, what about the garage and all those boxes you have for 2 years?
Ah, this is impossible.
Yeah, you're telling me. There are a lot of areas in the house that need to be cleaned up.
Hey, Claude.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Patty. What's going on?
Well, we just have too much stuff. And there are nice things, too. And we're just having a hard time. We're just having a hard time getting rid of everything. Okay.
Hey, I have an idea for you. Hey. Guess what? Emerson is having a tag sale, and it's on Saturday, October 8th.
A garage sale!
You can clear up all your clutter and solve this problem you guys are having.
Hey, that's a great idea, Claude. We can donate it to Emerson, and that would be a great thing.
Can people start dropping off their sale items right away on Sunday, October 8th? No,
Absolutely.
October 7th.
No, October 2nd.
October 2nd.
What about during the week?
Absolutely. The hours will be posted. We're going to have a table in the fellowship hall, and you can check the hours. And we're going to post it on Realm.
Greeters table, hours posted.
And the advantage is if you, oh, wait a second.
Oh, well, you're going to need some help, right? Some folks to help the sanctuary to set up on October 2nd after the service.
And the advantage is that you get first dibs on all the great stuff, right?
Exactly.
Right, well, but we're going to need, oh, wait a second. Hey, I have an idea. We can have a bake sale too.
Yeah, but somebody needs to organize that because I'm going to be a little busy.
And I can help after the sale. I can help haul away the little bit of stuff that didn't sell.
Yeah, we might need one more truck just to take things to Goodwill.
Yay! Let's go clean the dining room! Yay! Okay. Last time Emerson had a yard sale, many years ago, we brought in a lot of money for Emerson, and there was a lot of great stuff. And this is a great way to raise additional funds, which we have committed to in our budget. And on the greeters table today are sign-up sheets for different things that we need help with. And together, we can make this tag garage sale a huge success. Thank you, everyone. Oh, and that really is an argument Dave and I have at home.
Thank you, and that is part of what makes us a beloved community.
Arguments?
Arguing and coming together and helping each other. Good morning. My name is Ginger White, and I serve as a member of our Emerson Pastoral Care Team. At this time in our service, we pause to reflect on the shared joys, sorrows, and concerns in our lives, and light candles of our shared cares. Before the service, we light 3 candles, holding our collective sorrow and hope. These candles recognize the collective pain and suffering of Cherokee and Muskogee nations of people who lived on this land before us. Africans brought to this land enslaved, and pain and suffering of all nations of people where there is conflict and injustice. Before each service, each week, we are invited to light a candle at the care table to honor anyone you are holding in your heart. Those participating online are invited to light a candle of care and put it nearby. May all of these lights humbly remind us of our interconnection and the impact of our collective actions. And may these be a light of hope for peace among all people. We now honor our personal joys, sorrows, and concerns. Each week, you're invited to write a personal joy, sorrow, or concern in our care book before the service. It's located on the clear stand at the entrance to the sanctuary, or email your joys, sorrows, and concerns to pastoralcare@emersonu.org. And today, we have several joys. This joy is from Kathleen Tomlin. Barry Whittemore had a heart catheterization Friday morning because he has been having symptoms of angina, and the doctors feared that he had an arterial blockage. They found a healthy heart with clear arteries. He is resting at home and should be back at his regular schedule within 5 days. Yay. And A joy from Reverend Deborah. A joy that my beloved kitty Zeus has made it to his 20th birthday. He has had a great life, and I hope he makes it to 21. And this is from Laura Hansen. Dogs, blue sky, water, hot water, freedom, no bomb sirens, hot weather, cool weather, the smell of earth and people. The people who have come here to love and worship in love, and thank you for including me. And this is from James. My joy is I get to spend the day with my kind, loving partner, Anna. And this is from Claude. Happy birthday to Beth Klein. May there be many more ahead. We know there, and a concern from AJ for our cat Genevieve, who is having issues from an abscess. Thoughts would be greatly appreciated. We know there may be joys, sorrows, and concerns not spoken. As Reverend Deborah lights our candles, please feel free to say out loud or type into the chat the name of someone you are holding in your heart today. Darla. Now let us send our heartfelt, caring intentions to each other and to all beings everywhere by offering the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. Please repeat the words after me. May we all be filled with loving kindness.
May we all be filled with loving kindness.
May we all be free from harm and suffering.
May we all be free from harm and suffering.
May we all be well in body, heart, and mind.
May we all be well in body, heart, and mind.
May we all be at peace.
May we all be at peace.
Blessed be.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. My name is Ann Mason, and I'm a member of the social justice team. Any of you interested in social justice work, please see me. During the month of September, the Cobb County Center for Democracy is the recipient of our Share the Basket collections. This morning, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Monica Wills Brown. She's a PhD, inspired by her parents, who instilled in her a love of community and learning, Monica is very clear about the hill she stands on, the hill of service and love. Monica is an educator, an administrator, a researcher, a community organizer, and a writer. Monica believes that knowledge is power. She has dedicated her life to educating and empowering citizens and strengthening democracy. And she's going to talk to us about Cobb County Democracy Center.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How y'all doing? Good. Welcome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And Ann, thank you. So I met Ann through Stronger Together, and that is definitely how we're going to get through this next election season. That's definitely Stronger Together. So, if you don't mind, I need my glasses. Getting old. So the Cobb County Democracy Center is a project of the Center for Common Ground, which is located in Virginia. But what they did was they have been, well, I just have to leave it on at this point. But what they did was, after years of lobbying and after years of pushing for the rights of underserved populations of people, they decided that they wanted to have democracy centers that were spread out across states that were going through voter suppression. Now, this is our first time that we're going to be experiencing the pain, if you will, of SB 202. So let me just tell you a little bit about us and what we do. Now, we were just formed, and my partner, Dr. Ben Williams, and I, who's the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was approached to begin this Democracy Center based on the work that we've done in the community. So the Cobb County Democracy Center, our mission is to educate and empower underrepresented voters in voter suppression states to engage in electorate and advocate for the right to vote. Together, we can build a democracy that prioritizes the voices of all people. The Cobb County Democracy Center will contribute to the Center for Common Ground's mission through commitment to raise civic literacy for our local, state, and national communities. Now, we are nonpartisan. We do not support candidates. We support issues that are of concern to the people. And as Ann addressed, I am a researcher. So before we began, and I'll tell you a little bit about our Vote for Your Life series, we decided to research people, just random. It was a random population and segment to find out what were the 3 areas that were most pertinent to the lives of Georgians. And we came up with a few topics. We couldn't cover all of them because we began in August, but we are located in underserved communities where there are 55% of eligible voters who no longer choose to vote. That means they're registered, they just don't vote, which is an issue. And I'll talk about that now. And let me just say this, in the state of Georgia, and I would encourage everybody in here to check your voter registration status. And I say this because between December of 2021 and May of 2022, 893 Georgians were moved to the inactive roll. And they don't even know it. And there's supposedly, in the next couple of weeks, there's supposed to be another 200 and so thousand people that have been moved. And a lot of people, I know people who are organizing every day, and they were on the roll. They were on the inactive roll. And I know that they vote. So please, I would encourage you, if I can get anything out, please ensure that everyone checks their voter registration status if they're registered to vote, or if they think they're registered to vote in the state of Georgia. And if they're not, to please register. Now, democracy centers convert low-propensity voters to voting rights activists by helping communities identify their pain points through research and providing actionable and measurable solutions. We leverage the on-the-ground expertise and the presence of our relationships with other community or local organizations that have a proven track record of civil rights protection, civic engagement, community development, building, election protection, voter registration, and other activities that support the basic tenets of our democracy. So right now, we are engaged in phone banking, postcarding, canvassing. And we're going to hit this canvassing hard. This is the first time that we've done canvassing in the way that we're going to do it. Because we're also going to use it as an opportunity, not just because we just feel like it's an opportunity for us to connect with our neighbor. So on the cards that you will receive in your basket, on the card that has my name on it, there is a volunteer registration. If you want to register, you want to come together, and you can organize it from a church perspective. If you like to, from a congregation perspective, and if you like to participate in any of the activities that we have, please, we need the help because, like I said, 893,000 Georgians have been moved from the active to inactive roll. So again, the Vote for Your Life series that I was talking about earlier, let me just give you a couple of titles of what those look like. So we've had sessions on reproductive health and healthcare equity for all genders, the fight for real wages and ending the wage gap. We're going to be discussing guns and gun violence on October the 23rd. We recently had a Why Freedom Isn't Free discussion, which was very lively. Teflon votes, making your plan to vote. And then we're going to discuss the infrastructure, keeping a roof. With the rising cost of prices of utilities, and taxes. We're going to be discussing those rising costs and how it's impacting us economically as a community. I thank you so much for your time. I thank Emerson for sharing the basket with us. In any way that we can help, please let us know, because we are here to serve our brother. Thank you very much.
Cards that are coming around in the basket, because they'll give you more information, and there's some additional cards at the back. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you again, Monica, for coming and being here with us today, and for that powerful work that you do. We're really happy to support that work. I'm wondering what's going on here. I'm thinking it's time for the young and the young at heart to come on. We have a really good one this morning, so even if you don't qualify as young, you definitely qualify as young at heart. Feel free to come forward. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, Lawrence. Well, now, I'm going to need everybody's participation today in the story. At some point, you will get the hang of what your participation is. Don't you think, Adrian? I think they're going to get it, so I'm not even going to tell you. All right. Now, this tale is a tale that's been adapted from a Thai folklore. Are my peoples ready? Are the people of the kingdom ready? So, once upon a time, all good stories start like that, right? You guys might want to come closer. No, they don't. Okay, not all good stories start like that. This one starts like that. Feel free to come closer, because you're going to want to see what's going on. Once upon a time, there was a queen who sat on her balcony eating rice cakes and honey with her chief advisor. As they ate, they gazed down at the busy street below. You're part of the busy street. The queen pointed to something in the distance, and as she did, a drop of honey fell from her rice cake and landed on the balcony.
Oh, my queen, you have spilled a drop of honey. Shall I call someone to clean it?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think it's just a drop of honey. And really, it's
Not my problem.
Someone will clean it up later.
Are you getting the hang of it? All right. So they went on eating and talking as the drop of honey warmed in the sun and began to slowly drip down the side of the railing until it landed on the street below with a, we need, do we have another mic for our prop master? Oh, wait, our second prop master. Okay, so what happened to the honey? Plop, okay.
Your Highness, that drop of honey has fallen onto the street where it is attracting flies. Shouldn't we call a servant to come and clean it up?
Want to be a fly?
A drop of honey, a few flies. I don't think it's any big deal. It's
Not my problem. Someone else is going to deal with it, I'm sure. Well, soon, that little drop of honey in those flies attracted a lizard. And the lizard darted out from underneath the palace wall and began to catch the flies on her tongue. And then, you know what happened? A cat sprang from the baker's shop and began to bat the lizard back and forth like a toy. And then, you know what happened? A dog charged out from the baker's shop and began to bite the cat on the neck.
Your Highness, now the flies have attracted a lizard, which has attracted a cat, which is attracting a dog.
It seems like it's just a little animal fight. I just don't think it's a big deal. And especially because it's
Not my problem. Well, in fact, the baker did see it, and she saw the dog attacking her cat, so she ran out with her rolling pin and began to hit the dog. But then the butcher heard the dog howling and ran out with his broom and began to hit the cat. Soon the butcher and the baker were hitting each other, and the neighbor shopkeepers began to take sides, joining in the fight.
No.
And then some soldiers came along. Some knew the butcher and some knew the baker, so they took sides too, and they began to battle. A huge battle grew, and it grew, and it grew, and the great battle raged among the streets. And someone picked up a torch from the wall and hurled it through a window. Fire raged, and eventually it spread to the palace. The next thing they knew, the queen and her advisor were being escorted down a ladder from the balcony onto the street because the palace itself was on fire. Oh, no. Later that day, when the fire had died out, the queen and her advisor surveyed the ruins of their land. Suddenly, the queen stopped in the street underneath where her balcony had been. She reached down and touched something, a small puddle on the ground.
What do you think?
It's the honey.
It's just,
What is it?
it's a drop of honey. Oh, no.
I guess I should have cleaned up that drop of honey in the first place. Now my kingdom has been completely lost.
And that,
Because
my
of it.
friends, was the last day that the queen ever said, "Not my problem." And the Academy Award goes to...
Okay, as we stand up, come on up.
What do you guys think of that story? Is it your problem? Everything. No? Well, we'll talk about that later, I bet. Let's stand up and sing our song. Thank you for being a beautiful queen. Thank you, Richard, for being the queen's advisor, and Adrian, prop master extraordinaire. Thank you. As our children head out this morning, I'm going to invite us into this time of centering. There's so many things in the world to address and focus on. And we also need a time to pause, to come inside from that. And so this is your time. I'm giving you permission to lay those burdens down for a moment, to take a breath in, and just to sit in silence with yourself and with each other. Sitting in silence by ourselves can be very powerful, but when we do it in the company of others, it can be even more powerfully a time to gain strength, to feel the connection that we share. So take this moment now. even if you yourself wouldn't call yourself a meditator, or even if this is not your favorite part of our mornings together, I invite you to make this a quiet time where you breathe in and you breathe out. First, sensing your own body in the space that it sits. Where are you? Bring yourself back into yourself. Find the breath. Find the body. Invite the mind to breathe with you. And then as you sit and find your own breath in your own body, with soft eyes or with eyes closed, see if you can sense the human beings around you. We are not alone in this world. Our problems are not our own exclusively. We share a destiny intertwined and interlinked, both in the big things of the world and in these small moments. Together you have come to this space in this time. Feel that connection now to those whom you can name and to those whose names you have yet to learn. Allow what weighs on you to not be yours alone. And allow what weighs on others to not be theirs alone. Together, let's take a breath in and out. And again, let's join our breaths in unison as we breathe in and breathe out. And know that together as one body breathing, we can do so much more than we can alone. As you're ready and feel able and drawn, feel free to open your eyes or stay in meditation.
From the moment of our birth, we're based upon this earth to travel on a new uncertain path. As we strive to do our best, there comes a certain test.
Thank you. Thank you for that directive. There's an often told tale in this Unitarian Universalist faith that involves a question that the former Unitarian minister and transcendentalist Ralph Waldo Emerson asked his friend, fellow transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau. Now, the night in question was the 23rd of July, the year 1846. The place, the local jailhouse in Concord, Massachusetts, or shall I say Concord? In Concord, I can do that, I'm from Boston. Concord, Massachusetts, where Thoreau sat behind bars. Now, it is said that Emerson visited his friend Thoreau that night as he sat in jail, and upon seeing him, Emerson asked him, "Henry, why are you in here?" To which Henry is reported to have responded, "Waldo, why are you not?" For you see, in an act of protest against slavery, Thoreau had refused to pay the local poll tax and had been thrown in jail. As he was being taken away, he said, "I will not pay a tax or recognize the authority of the state which buys and sells men, women, and children like cattle at the door of its own house." Thoreau's challenge to his friend was not meant as a joke. In fact, it was more accurate to describe it as a religious mandate. For Thoreau, born a Unitarian and self-described as a transcendentalist, for him the holy was the work of God, not the belief in God. And the work of God was intricately connected to the belief in the inherent goodness of all people. Thoreau's jail time was his answer to the call of his faith that mandated him to act in accord with that belief. Does that sound similar at all? Familiar? This Unitarian Universalist religion, whose identity we claim here today, is the result of the merger of several primary belief systems. That the Bible was there to lift up the teachings of Jesus as one, but not the only, exemplar of good work, is one of those beliefs. Another was the Universalist belief that we all have emerged from and will return to a source of love of God. No exceptions. Transcendentalism, an extension of Unitarianism as developed by Emerson and Thoreau and Margaret Fuller and Amos Alcott and others, they added a third belief system that emphasized that every person possessed the light of the divine truth, and that each was called to act in accordance with it. So when the Unitarians and the Universalists merged in 1961, they settled on the idea that it would not be one theological doctrine that would be shared by all, but that what would hold us together would be principles derived from these beliefs. And truly what Thoreau exemplified, what he gave an example to, thank you, in his question to Emerson, right? What was he truly asking Emerson? He was looking at Emerson and he was saying, "Waldo, how now will you live?" Right? Knowing that the government is tolerating the enslavement of people who possess the light of the divine, Waldo, how will you live? Why are you not in jail? What are you going to do? Will you see this as your problem? I do not believe Unitarian Universalism can exist as a creedless religion without a mandate to answer this question. Even as our 7 UU principles articulate the values we hold, we are not really Unitarian Universalists until we decide how it is we will live them into being. How then will we live? How shall we be known? Okay, so here's where politics comes in, right? Even if we try hard to avoid the drama and the posturing of politics, the reality is that we are a society run by politics. The policies, the rules of law that we are subjected to and or enjoy are put in place by a political system. Now, this is the point where the non-religious or those without stomach for religious activism want to shout, but separation of church and state. Religious ideas must not impact politics, some say. By this, we often mean others' religious ideas must not impact politics, right? Because let's face it, who wouldn't like our religion to impact politics? Amen? Imagine for a moment a Unitarian Universalist president, or a majority in the Congress as Unitarian Universalists, or a Unitarian Universalist majority in the Supreme Court. No, wait, separation of church and state. The first clause in the Bill of Rights states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise of it. By that, it means that the government cannot dictate a national religion or create state-sponsored churches or prohibit us from the exercise of our religion, and that is good. But religion and politics have never been separated. From the prophets of the Hebrew Bible who counseled Micah, act justly and love mercy, to a plethora of rabbis, ministers, pastors, priests, lamas, monks, imams of today, religious leaders and religious texts ask us to not leave our faith in the sanctuary, but to take it to the streets and into the places of policy making. Religion has never been just about the big, mysterious questions of life and death. All religion doctrines, beliefs, and values must eventually intersect and run smack into our daily lived lives. They all ask, how then shall we live? When Jesus walked into the temple and threw over the tables of the money changers, it was not just because he wanted to reserve the temple for prayer, but because he saw the corruption that was occurring and felt compelled to stop an injustice. And we know what happened after that. He put his life on the line. He took a stand. And he was answering the question of how shall I live? In fact, much of Jesus' teachings, from what I can see, are precisely that question. It was not until much later, after his death, that Christianity began to focus on his dying more than his living. But when Jesus instructs his followers to love thy neighbor as thyself, or declares that whatever you did for one of these, the least of my brothers and sisters, you have done to me, he wasn't giving an intellectual discourse on the theology of dying. He was clearly telling people how to live. James Luther Adams was a prominent Unitarian professor in the 20th century. In 1935, as a young Unitarian minister and newly appointed professor of theology at Meadville Lombard, one of our Unitarian theological schools, he went to Germany to study with some of the great theologians of the time. There he was confronted by a deeply unsettling fact. Germany's churches were not effectively resisting the rise of Nazism. Luther has been a convert to Unitarianism. He had been a convert to Unitarianism from Baptist fundamentalism. And he had gone overseas with high expectations of Germany's long-standing tradition of liberal theology. But German liberalism hadn't foreseen the Nazi threat, nor did it seem to offer adequate resources for resistance. And he later described the impact of his experience. He said, In Nazi Germany, I soon came to the question, what is it in my preaching and my political action that would stop this? He continues and says, it is a liberal attitude to say that we keep ourselves informed and read the best papers on these matters and perhaps join a voluntary association now and then. But to be involved with other people so that it costs and so that one exposes the evils of society requires something like conversion. Something more than an attitude. It requires a sense that there's something wrong and I must be different from the way I have been. Did you catch that? He said, I must be different from the way I have been. There is a level of responsibility taking that I find profound. Adams was taking personal responsibility for how he was living. That was not stopping the rise of Nazism. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not all share the same theological beliefs, but make no mistake, this faith is about belief. When Unitarians merged with Universalists and set aside religious doctrine, they could have easily regressed into one big social club. And sometimes, some congregations have been accused of doing just that, of becoming a club that meets weekly to talk about how wise we are to have let go of those theological binds of our ancestors. A club that sings songs with words that we all agree on, while taking turns speaking about the wounds inflicted on us by past religious experiences, only to then retreat expeditiously to the fellowship hall for coffee and a donut. But not us, right? Have you ever been asked what you believe as a Unitarian Universalist? Or perhaps you've been told, oh yeah, you-ism, that's the religion where you can believe anything you want, right? At those times, how many people fumble a little bit and point out the first principle, right? Saying, well, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of everyone. It's a good answer. And most of us follow it up with our seventh principle, right? We add, we believe in the interconnectedness of all of life. Now, maybe if you're a little studied in the principles, you'll throw in the second principle, even if you don't know which number it is, and you'll talk about how we promote peace and justice and compassion in human relationships. Or the fourth principle, and you'll say that we believe that everyone has the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Or we believe that everyone has the right for the use of their conscience. If you're really studied, and most ministers don't remember which principle is which either, but if you're really studied and you know, you might even say, our sixth principle says, we believe in peace, liberty, and justice for all. But my friends, if you really want to simplify things, next time you are asked what you believe, I have a suggestion for you. Do you have your notes? You might want to write this down. When someone says, what do Unitarian Universalists believe? Tell them this. Say, Unitarian Universalists believe in the question, how then shall we live? And because this is our primary question, it would be impossible for me or any other Unitarian Universalist minister to stand at a pulpit and not point to the places where we need to reassess our conformity with how we are living, to do what Adams did and take responsibility, to make it our problem. If we believe we are all connected, how then do we live with environmental destruction and abuse? If we believe in peace and justice, how then do we live with gun violence and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction? If we believe that everyone has inherent worth and dignity, how then do we live with the conditions in our prisons or tolerate asylum seekers being tricked into being transported to a state where, and I quote, there will be a surprise waiting for you? If we believe in the right to one's own conscience and equality, how then do we allow the forced pregnancy of women and the forced poverty that many of those pregnancies will cause? Now, to be clear, as a religious organization and as a minister of this faith, I do not promote partisanship, blind adherence to one party or another because of labels. Nor do I promote the politics of one party exclusively. And I also do not believe that we will all think alike when it comes to how we live out our values or even to the answers to some of those questions I just raised. However, I see no way to preach our values without pointing out the real-life policies and governmental actions that do not align with our values. And I see no way to be Unitarian Universalist without asking again and again, how then do I live? If the politics and policies of this country reestablished slavery or created concentration camps for the Jews, that line between religion and politics would be a no-brainer, right? I could stand up here and rail against the political system and encourage you to get out there and do something, and you would be disappointed if I didn't. And if I stand up here and preach about the imperative that marriage equality continue, most of you would still be with me, right? But somewhere along the hard policy question of this society, there may be some lines that we disagree about, right? What happens if I preach about immigration and the rights of asylum seekers? We may have different opinions on what that looks like. Or how about if I preach about a woman's right to choose? We may have some different opinions. How about if I preach about gun control or critical race theory or policing or voting rights or tax policy or the Federal Reserve or Tom Brady or the bucket? No, sorry. Somewhere in that list, and perhaps many somewheres, I will guess that we do not think alike. And that, my friends, is good. And that is what makes us Unitarian Universalists. It is not in the thinking alike, it is in the willingness to answer and ask the question, how then shall we live? How then shall we love alike? Can we love alike if we think differently about policies? Easy, yes. Hard sometimes, though. In the end, Thoreau spent but one night in jail, as it is recorded that someone else paid the bill, and in doing so, that the local constable insisted that Thoreau leave. Despite his protest that he should not be allowed to leave for himself, he himself had not paid the bill. Of course, Henry's little protest did not cause him any great discomfort that we can know, nor did it single-handedly free the enslaved. However, his experience did lead him to write a powerful lecture on the relation of the individual to the state. Published in 1849 as Resistance to Civil Government, it is now known as the Discourse on Civil Disobedience. And it is well recorded that this essay made a mark on both Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. One drop of honey may create chaos when unattended to, but oh, the impact of one drop of resistance in making justice. Thoreau's simple act of conscience, simple decision of how he would live, had proved to be a powerful drop in the moment towards justice that he sought. My friends, I truly hope that you come here Sunday worship to connect with your own divine light of truth. I hope that in being here, you are reminded of the wholeness and goodness of you. And I hope that the connections you nurture here become the kind that you do not fear to ask the hard questions of, right? And I hope that you go forth from here And let the fire of your commitment to this faith and these principles call you into action. Even if that action is small as cleaning up a drop of honey or spending the night in protest. And one day, I hope that you will take your turn in this pulpit, this free pulpit, and bring your stories and tell us how you are choosing to live. Amen. Om Shanti Ashe, and blessed be. Send! Let's sing, babies. Oh, are we singing now? We're going to sing. I would love you to sing with us. Please rise in body or spirit. 1028. Now, this is in the teal hymnal. If you would like to see a book in front of you, it's the teal hymnal. Let's sing this out loud. What an awesome song. Now I do closing words. Okay. I know, I should know this by now. Oh, I brought a few. Which one shall I pick? Oh, James Baldwin. How can one respect, let alone adopt the values of a people who do not, on any level whatsoever, live the way they say they do or the way they say they should? Yeah. Let's be those people that do what we say we will do and live how we say we should. Amen? Amen. All right. Listen, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for service coming up. We have Beth Klein talking to us about this. And I want to just also put a quick plug, since we're talking about social activism. We do have a social action network, which is a group on Realm that are people that agree to be notified when we're doing social actions so that we're not, giving you too many emails. If you are somebody that would like to be on that list, please come see me or Ann Mason or Ed Cosper, and we will get you on that list. Beth,
Yes.
come join us. What do you got? What do you got to say?
How are we doing with the video? Does it look good?
Oh, we have a video.
Oh, yes. So I come to you as your queen, right? That drop of honey didn't fall far. But I wanted to invite you to stop in the fellowship hall, have a snack. The Family Ministry Committee has provided our refreshments for today, and we also have a table set up if you'd like to find out more about the family ministry activities and opportunities to volunteer. We have several important openings that we need help with. So, are we ready? Let's do it. Lights down. Don't forget your Connect card. On the back side is a preview of the volunteer opportunities that are currently open. Thanks to Eva Cronin for making our commercial. And remember that on the inside of your tear-off coupon are the lists of positions. Come and see us in the fellowship hall. We're happy to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. If you would like more information about Unitarian Universalism or about participation here at Emerson, please stop by our welcome table in the front entry. I believe Carol may be the person who's there this morning? Bernadine. Okay. Please plan to join us next week as Reverend Deborah offers the message titled, Filled with Loving Kindness. As our chalice is extinguished this morning, please join me in the final words. They are posted in the chat and in the order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Please join us for refreshments and fellowship in our fellowship room. It's on the first floor near the back doors. You can get there going out this door here. Those of you online, please stay tuned in, and you will be able to go to virtual breakout rooms for fellowship time. At 11:15, we offer religious education and exploration for children, youth, and adults. See your order of service for today's offerings. All right, our service is now concluded, but our connection has only begun.